Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 65 of Teaching Tales, the podcast totally devoted to sharing stories from the world of education. I am Brent Coley, your host and elementary principal in beautiful Southern California. And joining me today, a friend, a fellow IAQ board member, Crystal Chavez. Crystal, how you doing?
Hi, Brent. I'm doing great.
Fantastic. Well, I am excited. We've kind of been voxing back and forth to try to set something up, and I'm excited about what we're going to chat about today because I think anybody listening, it relates to everybody. Even if you're not in education, every single person who's listening to this could relate to what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, for anyone who's not familiar with Crystal Chavez, who is Crystal Chavez?
I'm a mom, first and foremost. I have two bouncing boys you might hear soon come bouncing in. But I'm a teacher. Let's see, I'm going into my 13th year. I've worked half of my career in a brick and mortar. And since having my first son, I've actually been an online teacher, teaching kids who are homeschooled, essentially. And I am a big SEL, social emotional learning advocate. I actually have now gotten my yoga certification for K through 12 students. So that's been fun. And I'm just really passionate about overall wellness.
And no matter who you are, no matter what your job or what your title is, every single person can benefit from something like that, from that social emotional learning, that wellness. To start, do you have a story? Because again, the whole podcast is about stories. I know before we get there, I know there was a Twitter chat. Was it about a week ago? That's kind of what sparked you and I setting this up. Was a prompt had come up about like, what do you do to manage, to balance that work personal life? Like any story or anything that you're passionate about it. So tell me a story or share what you're passionate about in terms of this topic.
Honestly, I think what got me started was an age that I was really experiencing some hardships when I first started my teaching career. I was in my 20s and started my career, and I was in some rough spots with the people I was engaging with outside of my workplace. And so things were tough. And I was working at a school where we were right on the edge of innovation. It was amazing, an amazing experience. And I needed a lot of emotional support during that time. We were working hard. Outside situations were not favorable. And I struggled, and I started to struggle more and more enough so that my administrators started noticing. And that's where, you don't want those troubles to come leaking into your career, right? That whole idea of like, leave everything at the door, and it's so hard. And that's, I think what I realized is that working through that, if I would have left it at the door, I wouldn't have had anyone to support me. And the people that I was spending the most time with there at school, if, once I got vulnerable enough, really, they were able to support me in a professional way to help me manage, to get through what I needed to get through. Luckily, I did. It took a good couple of years for me to learn the lessons that I needed to learn. But I knew that going into the school, it was a safe place for me. I could share. I had people that were supporting me and allowing me to, take some time when I needed to talk. As my principal, open door, just come in when you need support. There was even a time I remember where I got a text, right? That's like, don't check your text sometimes. It's the best policy to have, because there was some, fake emergency happening, but it got me riled up and I could not, I was probably mid-anxiety attack really in class. And so my principal walked by the door and I told her, I need you right now to teach in my class. I need you to do this. So she did. She came in. I just took a breather. and was able to it was right before recess. So she just took over for about 10 minutes, took him to recess, came right into her office, sat down with me, talked, and we were really able to just have that moment that I needed and that continued support. So that things like that don't happen often. We don't have the cultures in enough schools to allow for those moments. And that's kind of what I'm striving for, is like, hey, when you're there, right? I mean, I was actually reading your book and you're talking about the kid that pushes your buttons, your apology chapter. And, sometimes you're at the point where like, you just need someone to step in, and recognizing that and having that availability just for 5 minutes, right? Just to diffuse something within you or within the classroom. I think that's really, really important culture to build.
Absolutely. And as you were saying that, you used the phrase, check it at the door.
Yeah.
Do we ask our kids to do that?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, should we? I mean, our kids, you mentioned the word like trauma-informed practices and things like that some of our kids, and it's more and more, the number of those kids who are walking through our classroom doors, whether it's an online school or brick and mortar school, the number of kids that are coming into our schools that have been affected by trauma, it's just, I am seeing it as a site principal. It's alarming, really.
Yeah.
But we have to be prepared for that. But gosh, it just resonated. You're right. We too often think, well, check it at the door. You can't let anything show. And yes, there's got to be a balance there. You don't want to come in and bring everything in and upset. But at the same time, you hit it on a great point. If you don't show any vulnerability or you don't mention anything, then you lose out on a support system that is there around you the whole time. I've been fortunate to teach in schools where I've had similar, it sounds like what you had at that school, where I didn't just consider them colleagues, they were my friends. Like, I still go to Christmas parties with the people that I taught with 20 years ago. We still do an annual Christmas party, and they were the types of people, and still are, that if I was struggling with something after school, I could go next door and talk to my buddy and be like, hey man, I'm having a hard time with this. And I know that he would be there for me. So I think that's just a great point, that again, finding that balance between, you don't want to bring it, you can't bring too much in because you don't want to upset the environment here. But at the same time, we are human, and recognizing that we're human and to tap into that support system that is there is so important. Because again, I come back, do we tell our kids when they walk through the door, all right, check it? No, or we shouldn't, because those kids are bringing so much. Some of them are just bringing in so many emotional pieces of baggage. And like you said, we want it to be a safe place for them.
Yeah, what you said reminded me. So first of all, when we might not necessarily say it to the kids, right? We might not say, check it, we don't want to hear it. But if we're not creating the space for them to feel that freedom to tell you, hey, I had a rough day or a rough night, or maybe they didn't sleep well, or they're not feeling well, then they're probably not going to, right? If we're not valuing when they share those things and we're not being vulnerable ourselves, then the environment isn't creating that safety. But you also mentioned, colleagues, where you go next door and who you can, what door you can knock on, right? We used to do a funny thing. It just kind of happened organically, where when we were stressed out, we would stretch. So if we saw another colleague stretching kind of in a funny way, like, oh, I'm really stressed, and like doing a big lunge or something like that, we knew that it was something that that we were like, it was an alert. So I really like having that in the classroom as well, right? Like, let them give you some kind of alert that like, I am not okay right now. So I always had a beanbag. Like, I love that flexible seating is like getting huge now, because I was always trying to create those types of environments. But I had a little 2 beanbag area where the kids knew that if they needed to chill out, they could go there. So now, I've developed a peace corner or a calming corner here at my house for my kids in the same kind of fashion where it was like, hey, I need some alone time. I'm going to go over here. And there's lots of tools that I use for them there. Imagine if we had a calm corner for teachers.
Oh my gosh. Well, as you were saying that, like a symbol, how many teachers, especially at the elementary level, I mean, we're doing this on video now, but on the audio, you cross your fingers for like the bathroom sign. We have we have signals for, may I use the bathroom? What a great idea to have a signal like, hey, I need a break. And I know that some teachers do stuff like this, but what a great reminder for anyone who isn't doing something like this. As we're recording this over the summer, as the next year starts, what a great thing. Come up with a signal that if your kiddos, because I mean, gosh, we've got kids who, I had a rough night. I'm staying in a hotel. My dad's in prison. My grandma just died. My pet just got run over. I mean, those types of things are real and are happening every single day. And going back to what you said, you don't have to say it's a safe place or not say it's a safe place. Our actions, our mannerisms, that warmth that we exude or don't exude will say it for us.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot, obviously, we can observe through nonverbal cues that the kids would be giving us, but honoring those, stopping and, bending down and saying, hey, you doing okay? Do you want to, even I remember, oh my goodness, I have a good story.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. 5th grade. You got crushes.
You in 5th grade?
Yes.
All right.
One of the boys in class, my teacher knew I had a crush on him, and she actually let us sit right next to each other. So, love my Mrs. Fick. She was awesome. So basically what happened is it's Christmas time. Everyone's exchanging cards and whatnot, little gifts. One of my best friends gave me a diary. So I was writing in the diary, and of course I'm writing something about him next to me, right? And so the one of the boys grabbed my diary and read it out loud in class. I was mortified. But the best thing that could have happened is, and not the entire class did not hear, but everyone around there and him, heard it. But my teacher zoned in and she said, Crystal, do you want to go to the restroom right now? And I was like, yes, I do. Right. She allowed me to escape the classroom and that moment to gather myself before I came in. And who knows, maybe she said something while I was gone. I have no idea. I should call him and see if she said something to him. But, that was a huge moment for me. I remember it vividly that I needed that escape. She gave it to me. Oh, man. Thank you, Mrs. Fick.
She was aware.
She was aware.
She had a radar out, and she gave you an opportunity. I mean, I've had you have times like that where you see somebody tearing up.
Right?
Yeah, they're tearing up over whatever it is. It's like, let's go use the restroom. You want to go wash your face? You want to go take a break? You want to go? And more often than not, they'll be like, yes, please. It's like you're giving them that opportunity. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what a great thing. This is 5th grade. I mean, how many years ago? But that's what you remember. You didn't just tell me what she taught you in math or reading or social studies. You remember how she made you feel because she honored how you were feeling in that unfortunate circumstance where the kid took the diary. As we kind of move toward the end of the episode, let's focus a little bit on adults, because again, we can't neglect ourselves. I think this is becoming so much more in focus, which is a good thing.
Yes.
What have you found in terms of finding that balance for you, for yourself, balancing family and career and all that stuff? What have you found that helps you?
I've gone through phases and I just keep learning more and more. And so I kind of add to my toolbox as I go. It's very personal. We always talk about professional development in education, and really this shift toward wellness is a lot of personal development. And whether that's, whether we're creating the space at schools to allow for more of that, or just encouraging that to happen outside as well, I think that's the key. And then supporting those practices, those wellness practices. So something, I've had to make adjustments, being in the classroom. It was great when I was there and I had my team. We actually started exercising at school. We had gone through the Insanity program and got in such great shape. I mean, every single day. And it started out with just 2 or 3 of us. And before you knew it, there was 6 or 7 and people from the schools. We were a charter that had a lot of schools in a very small area. They would come and work out with us. So just that environment, I mean, literally put it on, the screen. And we just worked out, moved the tables and did it. That was huge, huge, huge. I mean, as we know, right, we have to take care of our bodies. Mm-hmm. And whether that's what you're putting in it or what you're doing with it, right, we have to honor our bodies in a big way to achieve that wellness. So I've gone on a huge journey with my wellness. I mean, I have a toxin-free home as much as possible, all cleaners and all of that. I eat pretty much a paleo diet due to some allergies in the house, so that helped out. But I haven't drank a soda in over 16 years.
Wow.
So, things like that have really helped with my physical wellness. But the thing is like, I'm in a slump right now. I had gotten rid of some shoes. I just posted I'd gotten rid of some shoes when I was trying to declutter my house, and I didn't have running shoes. I didn't have any shoes to really exercise in. And I just made the commitment, like, it's been my excuse. Oh, I don't have any shoes. Oh, but I don't have any shoes. I just went and bought a pair of good walking shoes and good running shoes. So it's just little things like that we deprive ourselves of. And once you have that intent, you make the commitment, and like, I'm dressed and ready to go on my walk. The boys are going to ride their bikes and I'm going to walk. We'll go as far as our legs will take us. And so that's one commitment that I made, was just to honor my body every day. And sometimes that's just stretching in bed before I get up, because that's all I can do. So that has been a big thing. So I kind of like the trio: body, mind, and soul. So I like to also fill my mind with something that is going to be positive. You know what? How many times have you seen that meme with the empty coffee cup, right? And it says, fill your cup. Well, what are you filling your cup with? I just had this conversation with another teacher, and, she realized, I'm watching these shows that are predominantly negative. They're about addiction and things that are not so positive and uplifting. They're not the happy ending. And we really need to think about, what are we filling our mind with? What are we listening to when we're relaxing? What are we watching? What are we doing? What are we listening to? So I really am very focused on what I am allowing, and really aware of what I'm allowing to fill my cup. And in regards to my mind, right? So good podcasts and books, and getting that 10 minutes in. 10 minutes is my daily commitment. Sometimes I get to read more, but 10 minutes. And this is all done upon waking up, because that starts off your day. So that has been a huge routine. Check out The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. That is kind of what helped me to bring all of these great practices into the morning. That was huge for me. I was doing them, but the impact that it made just waking up that way was amazing. And then, something for your soul. What are you doing for your spirit? Whether that's reading something that fills you up there, or just connecting, right? I meditate a lot, as often as I can. As long as I wake up before the kids, it's usually effective. And so that balance has been the best for me. I would say sticking to those 3, making sure they're happening. And yes, sometimes I have to wait until the evening to do them, or to catch up. And it doesn't have to be, don't kick yourself if it's not happening every morning. As long as it's happening and you have that intention and you're getting it, that at the end of the week adds up to so much, and you've filled your cup with some seriously good personal development.
I love that. I love that idea of, because you're right. We see you can't fill from an empty vessel, but what a great point to say, oh yeah, what are you filling it with? Garbage in, garbage out. Like you said, if I'm watching all these negative things on TV, well, that's what I'm filling my cup with, and that's what's going to spill over. And I totally agree about the morning. It's difficult sometimes, but when I will start off my morning with a devotional and praying, for me, that's what I do for my soul. It starts the day exactly like you said. It's starting it off on the right foot. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that at night too, because really it doesn't matter when but being intentional. You use that word, intentional. You've got your 3 things that you're intentional about. If we are intentional about it, then it becomes a habit and it becomes part of what we do, and we benefit from that. I love that. For me, like I said, in terms of trying to start that morning off, and things have been so crazy, I haven't always been good with that, starting it in the morning, but I'm trying to get back into that, because you're right, it does make a difference. For me too, and this was one of the things in that Twitter chat that we talked about, one of the things for me for that balance is turning off notifications.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was a big topic. Yeah,
it is. And as a site principal, I have been told from people, it's like, what? How do you do that? And I'm telling you, because when I became this, I just finished year 6 as a site principal, and for the first, I would say probably 3 years, that darn little red number on the email icon on the iPad controlled me.
Yep.
It just being straight. It's like, and every time that number got bigger, it would be like, oh my gosh, I've got 15 things that are requiring my attention right now. And coming to the point where I turned that off was incredibly freeing. Now, I still check my email a lot.
Yeah.
I have to, because it will back up if I don't. But the difference is now I do it on my time. I don't let that little number control me. I do it when I want to do it. And if I'm watching a movie with the family, I'm not checking email right then, and I'll check it later. And I don't have a little bing or anything like that telling me that I have a message. I've got an Apple Watch. I don't have work email coming to my watch, because I don't want that on my, if it's a true emergency, someone's going to text me or they're going to call me. And that's what I've told my staff. So for anybody listening who's a site administrator, it can be done. I'm still in the loop. I'm still getting my emails, and I'll tell anyone, it's not a confession, it's just letting people know, I did not have on my phone work email until a year ago. If you can, if you can believe, and the only reason, and I'll tell you, the reason I put it on was we had wildfires in our area.
Oh yeah.
About a year ago. And I mean, so close to the school where you could see the flames.
Wow.
Where parents were coming to get their kids, and we had to send kids home. And I realized at that point, as the district was trying to get information out, there were some phone calls and stuff taking place too, but they were also sending stuff out via email. And I realized at that point, I need to have it on here for those emergency type thing. But once again, there's no notifications because it'll control me if I let it. And I made that decision that I'm not going to let it, because I remember in my 2nd or 3rd year of teaching coming to that realization, I'll never get it all done. I don't know when you, I mean, I vividly remember sitting in the copy room in the office at the first school I worked at, making copies, standing in front of the copy machine, looking to my right at the wooden cabinets. And it was one of those epiphany moments. Like I was mentally going through, and it was like 7 p.m. I was still at work, and I remember going through all the things that I still had to do. And it was just, it hit me like I could stay. I remember literally thinking this, I could stay till midnight.
Oh, yeah.
Every night. And I will still not get it all done. And coming to that realization, and now as admin, I've really embraced that because it'll keep. Now, there's some things it has to be done right now, but other things it'll keep. It'll keep because I could stay here till 10 o'clock every night. There's always something else to do. I will never get it all done. And kind of like the notifications thing, I have to be intentional about not letting the job control me. I'm trying to take the bull by the horns and do the best that I can. There's going to be times when things go crazy and the job is going to control me, but being intentional about doing what I can to not let it overtake me. So anyway, that's my little soapbox for anyone listening who's thinking of trying to turn notifications off in terms of your social, emotional well-being. I would highly recommend it. Again, doesn't mean you can't check your email. It just means check it on your time. So.
Yeah, that's great. Something that I did, I think it was at the beginning of this year, 2019, was called Mindset Reset with Mel Robbins. That program is still available. You can literally, hashtag it and find her resources. And it was for 35 days, I believe it was. She did a session. If anyone wants to start their own personal development around this towards wellness, check that out. That was phenomenal. Has a little workbook. It's a daily dose of some good reality about that. She started off with, put your phone, charge it in another room. Stop waking up and looking straight at your phone, the notifications, all of that. So freeing yourself, and you said it, you check it on your time. Taking control of the things that you can control and that perspective around that is hugely freeing. So I set the expectations like you did with your staff. They know how to contact you. I work from home, which was a whole other adventure of trying to figure out the wellness here, because I have my 6 and 4-year-old here with me while I'm trying to get work done and teach. So they need me 24/7, but I need to get my work done as well. So it's been a balance, but I set those expectations with parents. I will check my emails first thing in the morning, around lunch, and at the end of the day, before the end of the day. And if you need me, call me directly if it is an emergency. There's a lot of tech involved with my schooling. So, they know that. And then my kids know, right? They have gotten used to when I'm teaching or when you see this on, they know that. So just setting expectations and boundaries, that is so huge. So giving permission to yourself. But a lot of times that permission comes also from others. You need to hear it. And one of the things that came to mind when you were talking about the, you could be there all night. Our principal, even though our cleaning crew was there later in the evening, she did not allow us to be there past a certain hour. She said, no, you guys cannot be here past this hour, period. And, all of us wanted to stay. We wanted that coffee machine. We wanted access. We knew it was there, and we wouldn't be fighting over it. And so I wonder what it would be like now with everything so digital. But, it was nice to know that she wanted us to go. And then we were enabled, she really empowered us to start setting our own boundaries. Something that I've heard recently as well is, even just that culture within the school of, I remember a good friend of mine who would go to concerts every once in a while, and she'd leave like right as the door right as the bell rang and she's off to a concert. She missed a kind of important day at school. And we were judging, we were like, gosh, why does she get to do this? Oh my gosh, I can't believe, she's principal's favorite. No, she had boundaries. I appreciate it so much more now. I mean, I was like, wow, I wish I would have just said the same thing sometimes and gone, but she was taking care of herself. She was further advanced in her wellness than I was at that point. So, but it was great, and when we do that and reserve our judgment, and point those things out, our principal finally had to, because she saw us getting upset, and I remember her defending that. And that was amazing, because at that point, all of us went, oh, we can do that too. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty much when she instituted the "you can't stay here after this hour" policy. So it was pretty awesome.
No, I again, now as a site principal, I very much relate to what you just said about the encouraging people to go home. One of the first things when I came into this position was like, guys, you've got a life. You have family, and family is more important. I don't want you. You don't have to be here till 7:00 every night. I don't want you here at 7:00 every night. At the same time, I also recognize that there are those times when, because I was that teacher, there were some of those days where, you know what, I'm going to stay a little later to bang this out, to get this ready, so that when I go home, it's completely, I am literally, everything is ready to go for Monday morning. Sometimes I would stay till 7:00 on a Friday.
Oh yeah.
Because I wanted, when I left, to know I'm ready. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to have to do work at home. So I totally encourage them. At the same time, and for anyone listening who is in a similar position, recognize too, there are those people who, if you force them to go home, you may actually be creating more stress. Does that make sense? Because I was that teacher who, I know you want me to go home, and I totally appreciate, and I want to do that. Like, do not feel like you have to be here. You don't have to impress me by staying until 7:00. But I get, because sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I'm almost done. I'll say like, I get it. Don't stay too late though. I don't want you here late. But I understand that right now you may have to mentally check this off your list so that when you get home, you can enjoy that Netflix binge session. Because otherwise those things are still swirling around in your head. So
I think that's the other thing is, success is planned. And if it's success for your wellness, you kind of do have to plan it. And I'm definitely that person as well, where, Friday nights was crazy traffic anyways. So I just said, wow, if I could get the weekend free, that would be amazing. Which is another thing, I feel like the productivity training that I've done for myself and the adjustments that I've made in that space, especially once I was working from home, that really helped my wellness. And I think that a lot of times, I remember we just recently did just a basic Google email training and some other Google hacks that saved people so much time. They were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And, and not all of us are as techy as others, and knowing all these secret, whenever you see 3 lines or 3 dots, right, click on it because there might be something, or the extensions and all of that. Like if we could have a little bit of time spent on that productivity training, right, that could ease up so much time for people. Working smarter, not harder, right? But really paying attention to that. And I think that's a big piece of wellness as well within the teaching profession, right? Is like, let's talk about that and how are we planning? And what routines are happening in the classroom that can alleviate, right? That pack an impact, but are also not heavy workload for you. So I love Edu Protocols. Amazing, right? Give the work to the students. And so there's just little things you can tweak within that. But really, planning is a big piece that can relieve stress. So at night, something that I do is every night, if possible, I am putting to bed, right, what's happening tomorrow. I already know. So I look in my planner. I do 10 to 15 minutes of really looking at my time management for the next day and what's happening. On Sunday nights, I do a big, probably hour planning for the week, making sure everybody knows what's happening in the family, right, for the upcoming week. So whether that's posting a calendar up in your kitchen, things like that, but taking the hour on Sundays, we have Sunday family dinners and whatnot, and when everyone's kind of just chilling, I escape and do my hour. That's been really helpful. And so the night before what's coming, you don't wake up in such a big, stress because, what's going on, and you've kind of put it to bed. So that was another practice that I started that was really impactful.
Awesome. Well, Crystal, again, I say this, I feel like I say this at every end of every episode. If nobody else is listening, that's okay, because I got something out of this. Though I do think there are some people listening, and I'm sure that they got something out of this as well. Thank you for sharing your stories, your what has worked for you, because I think that's going to work for other people as well. For anyone who wants to connect with you online, learn from you further, how can they do that?
I'm pretty active on Twitter, and I've just kind of put a little more effort into my Instagram. You can find me two places. I would say at Miss Viegas 11 is kind of my main Twitter account, but I just started something called the Teacher Love Tribe. And so you can find me and more information on Instagram and on Twitter at TCHR Love Coach. And there, what I'm doing weekly, every Thursday at 5:00 Pacific time right now, is I'm kind of helping to create the community where we can start some of these practices together. So I give a lot of tips today, which I have been giving in tiny little tidbits. So it's just 30 minutes, and it's really another big piece of the puzzle is accountability and community with that. So I have a friend who I do Marco Polo with almost every single day, and we set our intentions. So everything that I have in my plan book, we kind of go down the list. This is what I'm doing today. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to this. It's so funny because that alone has been huge. She'll send me a message, do 20 jumping jacks, because she knows I'm trying to exercise more, and I'll do it. And so I really want to create that community with the Teacher Love Tribe, teach a little bit, get a little Zen together, do some guided meditation, some breathing work and whatnot, and then just share together and maybe connect some educators together to be those accountability partners. So
very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I just pulled that up on Twitter. So
and don't forget, there's the Ditch Summit at the end of the summer. I believe it's q.org/Ditch Summit, and that's on teacher wellness.
Mm-hmm. And so you are a speaker.
Yes, I was asked to do that. So that's going to be really fun. I'll be talking with Matt Miller in a couple of weeks to record that.
Very cool. I'm working with Matt to have him a guest on this podcast as well.
Oh, awesome.
So
perfect.
Trying to get that done too. So, well, Crystal, again, thank you for taking the time. Those of you listening, thank you for taking the time to listen. Hope you got something out of this. As always, if you have not already done so, remember you can subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, we're on Spotify, and now we are in Stitcher as well. If you listen to your podcast via Stitcher, you can find Teaching Tales there as well. Once again, thank you so much, Crystal. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, have a good one.